guys missed us. I don't think this might be our first time ever doing a sit-down video.
Sit down.
That you guys have actually seen. Because we've done them. We just haven't ever seen the light of day. So, this one hopefully will be the one that sees the light of day. We're here to do an elopement Q&A for you guys. It's been a while since we eloped. We said back in January when we eloped that we were going to do a Q&A, just answer some of your questions, because people do seem to be a little curious about what goes into an elopement, what does it, how do people feel, and just like, I guess the whole experience overall. Because I feel like we did our elopement a little bit differently. So, yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. When you say people curious, I mean people been out of business. People want to know what it is.
Let's know what it is then.
Let's do it.
What it is and what it ain't.
What it should be, what it could be.
So we're not gonna be, in church and like, I'm not gonna be before you long. But no, we only have a few questions. So these are questions that you guys asked, and then I threw in some too that you guys just may be curious about.
A lot of questions, man.
But the first one I think we can start with is, what made you decide to elope as opposed to having a traditional wedding? I think it was like an ongoing discussion before we even proposed. We kind of were like playing with the thought of elopement just because it's like secretive and we can run away and nobody would know. But then I think it was just a lot of going back and forth between having a small wedding or having an elopement. And I think we just ended up choosing an elopement, honestly, just because we felt like if we do a small wedding instead, like the people who were there or the people who didn't make it into that small cut, we felt like they may feel some type of way. And it was just hard to like narrow it down to who we wanted to be there. So the list just kept growing and growing. Yeah. So it just made more sense for us to just do an elopement with just me and him, which like literally it was just me, him, and our dog. And it was a lot less stressful than worrying about everybody's feelings about not being there, who was there, who wasn't, who got the pick.
Yeah.
Child.
I think it also just came down in our prior discussion of feasibility, but to her latter point of just like realizing that we wanted to do something that made sense for us. Like we knew that coming in, again, it keep coming back to me, but in that season coming up, or as we got closer to, after the proposal, it was just a lot of stuff that was just like coming at us, like the negativity, people's thoughts and opinions. And in that process, like we kind of grew our callous on just kind of like understanding that one, God is going to be our foundation, and that our relationship is really going to just be me, her, and God versus everybody. And that's what it felt like. And so from a ceremony standpoint, we knew that we wanted to be God-centered. We wanted
that was like something he kept mentioning. He's like, I want to be God-centered. Which I think you can definitely do that in a traditional wedding, but it's something about not having to worry about everybody else's
catering to other people.
Yeah, especially on your wedding day, because that's what happens a lot. You have to think about everybody else's feelings. People feel this way. So much drama that goes on behind the scenes.
We should sit here. We should sit together. We should gotta be spread. We just wanted, for real, just coming into our marriage because we really, I think we pride ourselves on doing things our way and doing things different. Mm-hmm. But also, like, we just wanted to just not be all the outside forces, like outside noise. We just wanted to focus on starting off on a great foot, starting off with peace, starting off with love and God. Not worrying about, I wonder how that person was feeling, what they was thinking about, because at the heart of it, man, we really are like, we love to host people. We love to not please people, but like we want everybody to have a good time. We want to make sure everybody is good, but it just wasn't the season for it. It's the part of ceremony, of the service. They be like, it's by closing.
I was like, what is that?
You can come back, we want it back. Y'all can see it.
Yeah, I think we will definitely still have a wedding one day. I think finances, I don't think we touched on that. I think that was a part of it too. I think what we wanted to do, even with the small wedding, we still wanted it to be really grand, and like we weren't really gonna be able to achieve that. So it was like either dilute like the vision that we really wanted for our wedding, or we just hold off until we can do that and we can allocate those finances in other places
abundantly and more.
Yeah, and it actually worked out really good, because if you haven't already seemed like me and Quan both decided to leave our jobs this year. So like, we didn't plan on that. Like when we eloped and got married, we didn't plan on like leaving our jobs. We obviously talked about it because neither one of us were happy in our jobs, but like we didn't have that plan to leave. So with us not doing a wedding, it really did benefit us. And it's like almost like one of those, like you don't understand why God allows things to happen when it happens, but like it all makes sense in the grand scheme thing. Yeah, and I'm very glad we didn't decide on the wedding right then. We decided to just take that moment for ourselves and really soak it in. And just make the day about us, period. And like, you would think that wouldn't be too hard.
People understand.
But like, you know, people have their feelings and they have, you know, the right to feel the way they feel. But I think that's actually leading into the second question.
Question number two. All right.
Did you tell any of your family beforehand? And if so, how did they react? You want to answer first?
Did I tell any of my family beforehand? Beforehand, I believe I told my mom.
You told your mom before? You did not tell your mom before.
You're right. I don't think I told nobody.
I don't think Quan told any of his family members. No. Did you tell your brother?
I feel like I can't remember.
Yeah.
But probably not.
I'm pretty sure you didn't tell anybody. I don't know if you told, like, I think low key, no, I don't think Quan told anybody.
I didn't even tell none of my friends, not everybody. I told people, it was like, well, it was surprise.
We didn't tell, okay, Quan didn't tell his family, but I'm gonna be honest, I did tell a few people in my crew.
She can't hold water.
No, it wasn't I can't hold water. I know how my crew act. And I was like,
all the beans.
That's not true. I told my mother before going up to DC, I wanted to let her know just because I know my mom, and I think she would just want to know beforehand. Even though I know she actually wanted to be there. So I think I told my mom, I think I told my best friend. And I think I told my dad the day of, and I think everybody else, I think we told them like shortly after we left the trip.
Yeah. Quick turnaround.
Yeah, so we did tell a few people just for my sake, just so they at least knew what was coming so they wouldn't be completely in shock. I think everybody though, all of our family, we did hint at the fact that we may elope to almost all of our family members.
Sure.
We like hinted at like, oh yeah, we're thinking about eloping and stuff like that. So like, it wouldn't be like a nigga what, but yeah, so we did do that.
People listen, we definitely always said it from the day after I'll say the day after we proposed, it was like leading up to it.
Yeah, I think I just empower all the brides or every couple that is looking to get married to remember that like it ultimately is about you.
Yeah.
Your fiance, if you believe in your faith, like that is like what's the most important that day. It's not about the food, it's not about the party, it's not about what everybody likes to make it about, it's not about the bridesmaids and the group. Yeah. Like it's truly about starting your marriage on like a strong foot, and I think that's how we looked at it. And I don't regret it whatsoever.
No.
Because I think about that day and I think about it was everything that I wanted it to be. Not what everybody else wanted me to have, but what I wanted it to be.
It was for us. It was. It's even so when we look back on the YouTube video and it's like, dang, like, that's how we look, like, dang, like, I'm about to cry. Like, the emotions are real.
So how did your parents react or feel about not knowing or not being involved? I feel like when I first mentioned it to my mom, like she was a little like, oh, like I want to be there for it. Which again, it kind of goes back to why we decided just to do me and Quan. Because it's like, okay, well, I let my mom go, so then like, of course his mom will have to go. And then it's like, okay, what about our dads? And it's like, well, I want my siblings there, and I also want my best friends there, my grandparents. And the list just kept getting longer and longer. So like, it was kind of that conversation of it's just easier if nobody goes at all.
Yeah.
It took her a little bit to come around to it, but I think ultimately, by the time I actually got married, I think she was like, you know, if that's what they want for them, then like, who am I to stop it in a sense? Yeah. So yeah, I feel like they reacted pretty well. My dad was pretty chill about it, you know. So yeah, I think my parents took it well.
Yeah, and same for me. I think my parents took it well. My side of the family was more so like the first, like immediate family we actually went and told in person. And then driving back down, it was like, her family was then, you know, told in person or whatever. But it was love. I think like people was happy, gave us hugs and just congratulations. well wishes. And as far as my dad, that's the same thing I get now, is well wishes, congratulations. So again, I think from outside looking in, their reaction was congratulations. How they felt, I always tell kids, like, I don't know how they really felt, but I know how they told me, like what they told me their energy was. So we don't read minds, we don't look deep into the situations, or try not to at least. So
excuse me.
if someone wants to say congratulations, I'm here for you, I support you. And that's what it is. That's what I got from my side of the family.
Yeah, I'm sure it's ultimately like they would have wanted to be there, but when we do have our big wedding, they'll be there.
I don't care nothing. You better.
Y'all better be happy, you better dance the entire time, okay?
You better.
Okay, so it's kind of along the same line, so we'll just briefly touch on it, but just, were you worried about how your parents would feel? I think we already kind of mentioned in the beginning. We did care, like ultimately we did care, like we weren't trying to make anybody feel left out of that equation, but I think we were more focused on how we felt. Like we were more focused on starting our marriage in a good foot financially, but also spiritually. We just wanted it to be a certain way, and like we didn't want to get boggled down with like the finances of it, the money part of it, where we did it. It took the focus off on what we felt like God was really doing, which was uniting us into one. So yeah, we cared, but not to the point where we were gonna jeopardize what we wanted from that day.
And I say I wasn't necessarily worried about how my parents felt or reacted, because like growing up, I was really taught like to march to the beat of my own drum, and that I was getting older, I was always inquisitive, asking questions, and just like involving my parents on every decision. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's always good for wise counsel. But for me in this situation, it was more so of I think our relationship with God was like coming in stronger than just, natural parents, conversations of parents, like their concerns, or not concerns, just more so their thoughts. I wanted to please God, and I wanted this marriage to please God. It wasn't about how someone was going to take it, their reaction, how they felt. Ultimately, I wanted to be a peacemaker. I want everyone to feel like they can support me, they love me, want to be there for me. But it's so much I can do. But also in this sense, I'm sorry, I know I'm getting like away from this question, but I wanted to, from my standpoint, it was more so pleasing God, and I think that's even where I'm at now. Like in my day to day, I just want to please God. I don't want to, succumb or be so bottled down and worried about other people's thoughts, opinions, and their feelings. It's important how people feel, but not to the point where it's taking the focus away from God. And also, that's what our union is, and that's the blessing of what I receive from our marriage now, and the fruit I think we're living in abundantly. And now it's like just God, man. It's obeying God, man. Like it's not, marriage is hard as it is, and I think really in that season of us just focusing on God and having that as a foundation, that's really a strong pillar or a strong foundation how we've been able to get through issues or problems. It's not like big issues and problems, but small things, communicating, having fellowship, having community, all those things were revolved in around God, honestly, around the church, around community, around people that's believers as well. So I think faith is a big part in this decision of even eloping and even our marriage now. So we're just really trying to build God's kingdom and invite Him into our life and live it out as true as we can. So.
Yeah, and I think that just answers the next question too of like, are we happy we decided to just, you and your fiance opposed to having, that we did it, just me and Quan opposed to having guests there? Yeah, I think so. Like, I don't look back and have like a ton of regrets about it like that day. I feel like if anything, like time went really quickly. I think I would have like enjoyed taking longer to get dressed like not really rushing that phase, but we were trying to get it before the sunset. So it was just like, even though it was just me and him together all that day, like it felt like time was just flying by, just like a regular wedding day. So yeah, that was that. And I think the last question is, are you sad about not having a big wedding with family and friends? And I think for me, if I'm being completely honest and transparent, I think I do have like moments where it's like, dang, like especially when I see other people, it's kind of more so times of, I do have a little bit of sadness in times of like comparison and just being transparent, like I'm a human. So like when I see other huge weddings and I'm like, dang, I love her dress. I would have loved to like get a dress like that. Or I would have loved to have that venue, or just had a special memory like with maybe my mom before going out there. I think I miss those moments, and I do have sad moments about that, but I think just remembering the purpose of why we got married, and then also realizing that I can still have those moments. Like, it's not like it's the end of the world and like I would never have that. So yes, it does come, but it's not something that like stays when I like kind of refocus on like why we did it in the first place. So
I would say, I think I'm sad. I'm more so sad when she expresses that she's sad, but also I don't think I was sad about the ceremony. I really did enjoy the ceremony for how we did it. I enjoyed the quality time. That's my love language too. So the quality time. We had everything. Jacuzzi. We had our dog there. We had snow. We had some great views.
It was a great
sunsets,
experience. Yeah.
A dope place to stay in. Now, like even all the places we stayed in the past year, like it's a lot of stuff being cooked up right now. So it's like it's crazy how things just all work together for the good of those who love God, called according to His purpose. Also, in this season of not having a big wedding, I think we was able to kind of vet out who really supports us, who was really there for us, and like see people who's real. Heart,
it's kind of,
you know what I'm saying?
People spend so much money on these weddings, and if that's you, that's cool. Like that's like, it's literally no shade. Like I completely understand, but like also in the same sense, you spend so much money on like pleasing other people, or just like that day and buying the food and the venue and stuff like that, and then like a year from now you're not even talking to those people anymore, and it's like, dang man, I could have saved a couple bucks there. But not even just for the financial reason. I feel like it did kind of like weed out a lot of things, and also
revealed and brought some things to the light.
Yeah, a lot of clarity on like who do we really want in our life, and like who is really there for us even past the marriage, because that's really when, you know, I don't see people show their true colors, but kind of in a sense where you see who's really rooting for your marriage, who's really praying for your marriage, who's really like just there as a friend. Sure. So yeah, I feel like we learned a lot this past year too.
Still learning. It's life.
Yeah, we're gonna have to give you guys a marriage update, 1 year check-in, because it has been an interesting It has been an interesting year. Yeah. It's definitely filled with, I be telling people it's a journey, like, and I don't say that in like a negative term, but I'm very honest and transparent. Marriage is like work. Like it's not like no cakewalk. It be very serious.
I mean,
you have to put time in.
Let's break it down though, because people always be like, people always say work and work, but like what do it look like? Even for me, that was a question. But we can do
what
it.
Does work look like?
Work for me in this season of our marriage, works look like active communication, active listening. Like set your marriage before it starts as a book. I would recommend it to anybody that's like really dating seriously or even married. That opens the room, open the door to intentionally have a conversation and engage your partner and learn them on a different mental level and emotional level. So that's work. It's work, but it's also cool, but it's bonding experience. I would say work is actively trying to implement the things that your partner expresses and vulnerably shares that, you know, makes her feel comfortable, her fears, things that she want to be worked on, and vice versa. Even things that, if I tell her, hey babe, can you start closing the drawers in the bathroom or in the kitchen, or can you pick up, like, that's work though, you know what I'm saying? It's working to not only just live together or live together peacefully, but to one, serve one another. I think that's the biggest thing in marriage, like as work, like serving one another and with a good heart. It's not, again, I'm working on it. That's why I say the word it's a work in progress for me. I ain't perfect. It ain't always. And
I like to explain that like we didn't really go in with like the best of examples either on like what marriage should look like, which is a good and bad thing, so you get to really create what you want out of your marriage. But yeah, it's definitely, if I could give one tip, if because we do need to close this video out.
Yeah, my bad. I be getting excited about this shit now.
He be getting very excited when he get on camera, y'all. He be acting like he don't like the camera, but let me tell you, he likes the camera. But I think for me, I'm learning to just drop it. Like, sometimes I allow small situations.
Drop it.
Not like that.
Wait, drop it inside.
Yeah, I figured when you looked at me like that. Like, drop situations that aren't that serious. Like, those little minor situations, like close the drawer. Like, sometimes I can just go and like I don't have to get so harped up on these like small issues that I make them into bigger ones, like choosing your arguments wisely. Child, we could sit here all day and I could write out a list of the things I've learned this year. But it's all been good. It's all growth. Ultimately, you're living and sharing your life with another person. And I thought that it would look the same since we were living together before we got married. But like, even like once you say I do, it is a difference. Mentally, how you move, financially, like it changes a lot. So we'll have you a sit down video there, and like if you guys want it, child, if y'all even want the video, we'll sit down and share it. But yeah, if you are thinking about eloping, I personally say do it. Would you vote do it, or what do you think?
Everybody's situation, relationship is different.
Yeah.
I say take this information, listen to it, pray to, if you're spiritual, you believe, you know, pray to God, you know, get counsel. Message us, email us in our email us. So if you want to
leave a comment below.
Yeah.
But yeah, I say go for it. I say live your best life, and if it's what you want, then don't let nobody stop you or tell you any different. It's your life, it's your marriage, and you get to dictate how that's ran. Nobody else. So, all right, I love you guys. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. You're a real one, and if you haven't already, please make sure you like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye, guys.